So what do I need to do first? Well, I need to open a picture from my computer, one of the ones I've sent to you, so that's what you'll do. And it'll ask you where to go. Depending on your operating system, on a Mac it's just popped up. So I've gone to my desktop, Photos for Painting with Layers task, and I've got a famous photograph, some flowers, a picture of a Land Rover, and somebody walking a dog. Today I'll just choose the flowers, I think, and then I'm just going to open that. Now we have your image opened in Photopea. So I want to paint on top of this photograph, but I don't want to actually paint on this layer. So what you need to do is create a new layer on top of this one. If you go down to the bottom of the page, you'll see a bucket, like a trash can, delete layer, and one that's called new layer. It looks like a piece of paper with a turned up corner. New layer. Click on that. Now you'll see you've got a layer called layer 1. This is your painting layer. The background is the picture of the flowers. If I turn it off by turning off the eye, it's disappeared, look. And then what you have on top is your layer that you're going to paint on. So this is your colouring in layer, layer 1. You don't colour in on the background. So every time you use the brush or a pencil tool, whatever you're going to use today, always make sure you're highlighted on this layer 1, not the background. So I'm highlighted now on layer 1. This is my painting layer. Now to paint on here, it's going to be difficult because it's very small and I can't really see close up to what's going on. Now in my little tools here, I've got a navigator. You might not have that. If yours isn't here, you'll need to go to Window, and then you need to go down to Navigator. You need this tool today to work, because you need to zoom in and out to see your painting as you paint it. So if you don't have the nav here, go to Window, Navigator, and it'll pop up and it'll be there then, okay? Make sure you do that now. So once you've done that, you will be able to zoom in and out of your image. And as you can see, this image is a little bit pixelated. You can see the squares slightly when you zoom in, but that's okay because we're just using it as a guide to paint on top of. So I'm going to zoom into a section, and with my brush tool, I'm going to select a brush tool there. I'm going to use brush. Again, you know how to do this now because you've used it before. You can adjust the size, angle, the types of brush, whatever you want to do. But we're just going to have a go at colouring in today. Now I need to choose a colour that's similar to this. You can use different colours, they don't have to be exact, but a similar colour to this. So go down to the colours in the corner here. See that? My arrow's gone big. There, down there where it's sort of a beigey colour. I don't want that colour. I'm going to choose something lighter, more white perhaps, but not quite white. Remember this bit, because this is a bit I always forget. Okay, I've got that colour now and I've got that size of brush. I'm on my top layer. Just going to pop the brush back out the way. So now I can make my brush bigger and smaller on my keyboard with a shortcut, and I'm going to paint this petal. Now I'm not going to do every detail in minute detail as in exactly like this. I can always go over it again later with some more lines, some more shading. I'm going to just block in these petals for now, and I suggest you do the same. Block in say that again, block in the main areas with a block of colour, and you can go over it later and add shading with a different colour and maybe a different texture or brush. Right, okay. So as you can see, I'm sort of blocking in the shapes here. Don't have to be perfectly correct, because I think it'd be quite nice if it does look more painterly and not like a photograph, because that's the idea of painting. And there we have a blocked in flower. How does it look? Well, it's hard to see when it's on top of the picture, so you can keep turning off and turning on to see what you've actually painted. Oh, I missed a bit up. Paint that bit in there. Another thing you can do as you're working, make sure you're on the top layer. You can turn the opacity down and you can sort of see the image come through, but actually that doesn't seem to do a lot, does it? So I'm going to leave it as it is, and I can always turn that off, have a quick look, turn it on, and then maybe choose darker areas. So let's do that now. Let's choose a slightly darker shade. Say okay. That should be darker there now. I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush. I'm going to do some darker. Oh, actually, I think I want it a bit darker again. Let's go darker again. Say okay. And I can start to fill in the different areas. Actually, I think I'll have to go darker again, a bit more. Let's get a bit of shading going on here. Nice dark area there. Okay, so you get the idea. So the navigator, just to recap, you can zoom in and out. The brush tool, obviously to choose your brushes, you've done this before, so this isn't new to you. You've got your layers that you can turn on and off to see what you've painted. But remember, you're working on the top layer, so always have that one highlighted when you start to paint. That's a mistake that students often make, they forget to work on the right layer. Okay, because you want to be on the top one. When you've finished, you're going to export it. You not save it. If you want to carry on painting it, save it as a Photoshop file. That means you can go back to it and paint the layers again and again. Right? So actually, for today's task, it's probably good to save it as a PSD, a Photoshop file, until you've completely finished. Because if you export it as something else, all those layers, that layer will be gone. All right? So today, save it as a PSD, flowers PSD. And where am I going to save it? Well, not in my downloads. I'm going to save it on my desktop for now. And that's saved it. So if I just minimize this, here we go, a PSD file. There it is, flowers. And I'll show you what happens. Okay, I'm going to close this down now because I have saved it. Let's open it again. Flowers. No, that's the wrong one. On my desktop, PSD, look, has to be that one. Open it. And I've got my layers. So I can work on it, carry on working on this. So when you've finished, then you can save it as a JPEG at the end.